excited about that you're pursuing, and how you see Black women leading or influencing those trends. So, you want to
I can mention something. I think there's a really cool way that people are using technology, I guess you could say, but also like our relationships online to create springboards for everybody else. So for example, I'm sure Jacqueline, I'm not sure if you know Marty, what's her last name? Marty, remember her last name?
I don't
Marty
know.
Lewis. And she has this really cool app that's called the ABC Travel Green Book. And I met her last summer, and I didn't know that she was the one who founded that app. And even if she didn't found the app, the work that she does is basically what the app does. So if you ever heard of the Green Book, it's back in like the 20s, or I'm not sure which decade, but back when segregation and sundown towns were very violent in this country, Black travelers created this Green Book, Green Book, I think it was called, and it gave you a list of like Black-owned businesses or Black-friendly places that you could visit in certain places that were not always safe for Black people in general. So you knew like, okay, you could stay at this hotel, you could eat at this restaurant, it's not segregated, or if it is segregated, or maybe there's a restaurant that's Black-owned that you can eat at, things like that. And so they had like global portion where they would tell you things about Jamaica, about France, about other places. And so there's a lot of different entrepreneurs that have created like modern versions of that. But Marty created an app that she calls the app ABC Travel Green Book. And it's inspired a lot of other people to create similar platforms. So like after I met Marty and we talked, she came to Colombia to do work for the Black Travel Summit. I guess it was like a fam trip or something like that, like a familiarization trip. After that, I went to my people that I work with, and I was like, we need to make something where all of us show up on one place, so that if I say, I'm Naisha, I do this work, but I work with like 10 other people and they do this work, we have a place to put all our stuff in the same spot. And I think it's really cool that we can like share these ways of platforming each other, really, which is important for Black businesses. I think that we're underfunded, we're under-mentored, we're under-invested in, like there's so many, and then a lot of us start things like just out of necessity, not because we like made a business plan and we made this and we got a loan. Like a lot of us just start something because we see that there's a necessity, or we have a skill that we can turn into a profession. And so I think that's one of the things that I've been excited and in awe about, but I don't think it's very new. I think people have been doing that for the last, at least since the internet's been out, but I think making it into apps is a really cool way to kind of help people encounter Black experiences, businesses, restaurants, hotels across the world. So that's been something that's been cool. And we created one. We created like a mini platform for Black businesses in Cali to put all their stuff in one spot, so that if we share it with somebody, people can say, oh yes, there's this Black Black-owned Viche company, and they create an artisanal alcohol that you can drink that's Black-owned, and this is where you can buy it, or this is who sells it, things like that.
Is there any innovative trends that you can think of that you yourself are doing, or you've seen Black women pioneer?
Black girls in art spaces. So Casey Meriwether Hawkins, if you're not familiar with it, she kind of just started this ad hoc, just pop up at Black, art galleries, museums, and just take up space. And I was a part of the DC chapter when I was there when it first started. Was on one of the panels, hosted one of the meetups, and it's been a very unique and transformational space with regards to like who is allowed to be in museums, who is allowed to be in galleries. And she's also democratized the idea of gatherings, because there has been like, oh, why don't you turn this into a nonprofit? Why don't you turn this to a business? She's like, no, there's chapters, and whoever is in a city that wants to host a Black Girl in Art Space event, they're allowed to do that and coordinate it. You know, you can just DM her and say, hey, I'm in South Hadley and there's an exhibition at the Mount Holyoke Art Museum. Can we put together something? And then it'll get posted on their Instagram page. So it's like very creative, very unique, very democratic. One of my grad school friends, she's now a professor at UT Austin, who I absolutely admire. She and a couple of people in Chicago are actually starting, like, I don't know if you've seen the Diana Ross movie Mahogany, where she wants to become a fashion designer, and so this is actually its 50th anniversary. And so she collaborated with some people in fashion, art, photography, music, and Chicago history, and they're just hosting a bunch of programs this year just to reflect on the legacy of this movie. So I'm just like, people doing things in cities, building collaboration.
I'm also a business owner, just juggling work-life balance. I can't say that it's that easier, but with time management and also setting, like being realistic.
I think that I'm like starting my third year of entrepreneurship. For example, like I went to England the other day to visit a friend. I met somebody very close to me when my first year in Columbia, and she went to a master's program in Oxford. So we wanted to go visit her before she finished school, and I had work meetings to take. So it was like 11 p.m. England time that we started our meetings, and we were kind of like in a, not a club, but we were in some kind of place where there was music and dancing, and I was supposed to be so excited to go and dance salsa in this place with all my friends and her friends. And I was like, I need to bring my computer, I gotta work. And I was joyful in doing it, mostly because I wanted to get it done on time so I didn't like mess up my other days. And I think that I keep seeing on Instagram this thing where entrepreneurs who are parents talk a lot about like work-life balance, and like sometimes you're 100% mom and like no entrepreneur, sometimes you're 20% mom and 80% entrepreneur. And I feel like I don't have any kids or responsibilities like that yet, so I feel like that's how I've been balancing my life though, is like sometimes I'm all in and like I don't make time to like go out and go dancing or go and have fun, and sometimes I need a break. I need to focus on doing something for myself that's outside of my own work. And I think like as a young person that also manages like anxiety and depression, like there's been a lot of ways where I've had to even be disciplined about how I manage how I feel, so that I can make space for like my feelings to be felt in my own body and like still do my work, but also like give myself time to decompress, give myself time to do things that are for fun, or to cook, or enjoy life, and not just be like bogged down about how to figure out how to make things work. So I feel like I haven't figured out the formula. I have been hearing a lot about time blocking. I hear that time blocking and tracking, and not just blocking, but tracking your time so you understand how you spend your time is very useful to entrepreneurs, so that your brain can really get like, okay, I actually just need an hour to answer emails, or I'm only gonna give myself an hour to answer emails. And that's something I'm gonna be trying in the next quarter, to like see if I can get more life work balance in my day to day. But I think over the course of a quarter or a year, like I would say there's no true balance. It's kind of like sometimes, like if I have a family emergency, like I'm not opening my email, or I'm telling the people on email like, I'm sorry, I have to handle this, I'm not answering for the next 3 days, And there's that like little bit of flexibility that you get because you are the one directing your time and your efforts. But it can be kind of stressful also to do that too. So, but it's a learning curve, I think.
Absolutely. And I like how entrepreneurs are parents. And I know particularly for you, Jacqueline, I remember I was talking to you one time and you told me you consider yourself a mom entrepreneur? Mom entrepreneur? So, mom entrepreneur? So if you'd love to explain that, go ahead.
So first of all, I would like to say that what I'm going to share, it's experience. Okay, I didn't find what I'm going to share in a very magical way. It didn't pop it in my head, and I wish I knew that when I started 10 years ago. Because I'm not going to lie to you, the entrepreneurial journey is a lonely journey. Everybody who tells you that it's easy is a liar. It's a lonely journey. You're alone, thinking of everything, mastering the plan with your idea, with fighting with financial, with the law, with people, with the resources all the time.
audience. We're waiting for Angela Davis. Yes, I'm here in Mount Holyoke. I just saw the famous Angela Davis, and I'm waiting online to meet her personally. I feel like I'm at the concert. Look at how long this line is. This line is mad long. But I'm hoping I'll see her. Okay, guys. Was it fuller?
people who were a part of the struggle, who were willing to buy the house for them and then, turn it over to a black family. And every time that happened, there would be a bombing. The house would be dynamited, or else it would be burned. So before 1963, when a lot of bombings took place, it was a neighborhood where the attorney lived, who was responsible for most of the cases, civil rights cases that happened in Birmingham. So, it was, I think my first memories, as I read in my autobiography, my first memories are oral, the sound of the dynamite. I was